Hello, everyone. It's Molly Gordon, and I will be joined shortly by Cherie Ray, my good friend. We are going to be talking with you about, hey, Facebook, let me back to my screen, about rebooting your life and reinvention. Sheesh. It seems to me like I have been reinventing since I was about 6 years old. And sometimes it's been a joy, and sometimes it's been a little different than a joy. Hi, Cherie.
Hey, good morning, Molly. How are you?
Good morning. I'm still fiddling with things, trying to get in this frame.
Well, please keep fiddling. And
all right. And I see
I'm so thrilled
Corinna is here. Yay. You're so thrilled. You're so thrilled that you're frozen, Cherie.
About what you and I get the good fortune to do in the world.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
I think it's kind of cool. Now, that's so funny. I can see a part of your face, but not much. But how about you? What do you see?
I see all of your face and all of my face.
Perfect, and we're good to go.
Yeah, I'll refresh my Facebook page and see what shows up there, but so far so good.
All right, good deal, because I have so little.
And your image is clearing up. It was a little pixelated at first.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah.
So, we decided to collaborate together on rebooting in the new year, and what occurred to me to kind of ask you about is you've been in this profession of supporting people for 22 years plus.
Yeah.
And in that time, the significance of, I'll even say, a shift in perspective or beginning fresh, either any day or at the first of the year. How does that look to be helpful, life-changing, supportive to your clients, and just what you've seen?
Oh, that's interesting. And I moved from my tripod to holding my phone. So if it gets shaky, I apologize, folks. What comes to mind is the first year that I was coaching. The coaching school I'd gone to gave us an end-of-year exercise. And I forget exactly what the questions were. But I remember I read them and I thought, it doesn't do anything for me. And I went on to make up some questions of my own. And that actually did something for me.
Uh-huh.
So one thing I take from that is from the very beginning, I think from time to time, human beings benefit from pausing and reflecting on where they've been, what they've done, how they're showing up in the world. And that looks like a useful thing. And human beings have been doing that since the dawn of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's not so helpful is getting caught up in a story of there's a right time and a right place and a right way to do that. And if you don't do it that way, or if when you do it, you don't have a certain kind of answer or don't have a certain kind of experience, then there's something wrong with you. And I think that's hogwash.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Does that make sense to you?
That makes total sense to me. And I think where you're pointing to is that there's a way to do that in a gentle manner that would allow for a fresh perspective or insights. But typically as human beings, they might rest in the punitive or the evaluative and not come up with a plus at the end of their introspection.
Yeah. Who among us has never played, comparison poker and lost?
Exactly.
And I think one of the beautiful capacities of the mind is the capacity to imagine something, including a benchmark, and and then evaluate where we are or where a project is relative to that benchmark. I mean, it's a great creative capacity. Robert Fritz wrote about this process and like the rubber band that stretches between where you want to be or what you want to create and what's true now. Tremendous creative power and potential energy is caught up in that. Mm-hmm. And then the stories we tell about that can get in our way. And that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about collaborating with you in reinventing, rebooting, creating, visioning, because I know that that's not how you roll.
Right. That's true. That's true. That's true. And,
yeah.
And to your point about, what seems so relevant to me in rebooting or even just kind of opening space for the possible or even the perceived impossible, is, it's rare that I open the space and look in a direction of wanting something and not have something on it,
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's ordering from Amazon, it's like, yeah, right. You better be on time and you better be the way I want it and all of that. But, and so I think in what we do, that it makes so much sense and it feels so natural, but it's just not helpful.
Yes.
That's
true. And guys, I've just got to laugh. I'm sorry that this video is going all over the place. And that's my hand going in front of the camera. I'm laughing because it looks like you're dancing on my side. You're shake, rattle, and roll. I'm totally dancing into the end of this year and the beginning of the new year. So
that's a hoot. I love the way that the surprises of Facebook Live.
That's right. But so what did I hear? Oh, yes. I know what it is. One of the things that I'm most interested in around reinvention and creating is the freedom to really want something and go for it. There's a way in which I have gotten caught up. Let's see. I've seen it various times in my life that being invested, being attached to something is a path to suffering. Either a little suffering or a lot of suffering. But that's very clear to me. Mm-hmm. What I didn't really see until recently was that the suffering part, I mean, this is going to sound so trite, the suffering part is optional. You can really want it. You can really go for it. You can be really excited. You can be really disappointed. And the suffering piece is optional.
And that does sound cliche, in the current times of whatever.
Of cliches.
yes, and cliches, but that notion that, you could play all out.
Yeah.
And not suffer, and not even let the notion of consequences come in and kind of rain on your parade. That, understanding more, but that even the notion that consequences are made up.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't happened yet, but even the notion that consequences are made up and not inevitable of the practice of taking a risk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That didn't look like that was optional to me for a long time because there was consequence to any choice. Truly in my mind, there was consequence to it. Taking a risk or going all out or taking a leap or.
Mm-hmm. And it looks to me like things do happen. I mean, things work out, meaning they work out the way I expect or want, or things don't work out, meaning they deviate from what I had in mind. But that doesn't have to be bad news. And even disappointment, and this may seem weird, but I have a new relationship with disappointment.
How so?
There was a time when I thought the name of the game was to avoid disappointment. Let's go, ooh, I'm above it. I do not invest. I do not get disappointed.
Or if you were doing it right, you would not have disappointment.
Yeah. And I actually learned the lesson from Major League Baseball because
Well, now
I
we're
love,
talking.
yeah, your team won.
Yeah, I love to talk about baseball these days. So,
So at the end of the baseball season every year, or at least the last few years, I get really involved and I watch all of the playoffs. And I love falling in love with my mostly made up stories about the players and the managers and the teams and the histories of the teams. And I love getting favorites. So by the time the World Series comes around, I care. I want
you're
somebody to
invested.
win. I'm in it.
Uh-huh.
And I love the highs and I love the lows as the series goes on. I like the whole ride.
Mm.
Oh, if I didn't like the whole ride, I wouldn't bother to get interested in the teams. I wouldn't bother to favorite. But I do like the whole ride. And we go
Wow.
on, some of us go on roller coasters because we like the whole ride. Now, I've never been on a roller coaster, and I can't wait to go on a roller coaster. All my life, I thought I would just hate it. But now that I know that I like the whole ride,
You've really never been on a roller coaster?
no, no. I
Wow.
avoided Ferris wheels until recently. And I went on a Ferris wheel recently on the Seattle waterfront, and I truly didn't know until the ride was over if I would get anxious or not, because have been such a weenie with heights.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept looking for the bad part of the ride, and it never came. Even looking for it, I mean, like superstitious. Don't look for the anxiety. My God, you'll find it. I looked and I looked, and it wasn't there. And this is opening up for me. I should close this point so it makes sense to people. Opening up for me the possibility of caring deeply about creating something in the new year or whenever, and really committing to it. And then looking toward mind, looking toward life, looking toward your resources in the real world, and putting everything you've got to create it and move toward it, and enjoying the ride. And you either get there or you get somewhere else. But it's
Mm-hmm.
all amazing. And you don't have to avoid the disappointments, the ups, the downs, the risks.
Or
And
manage them.
or manage them. And when you take those like buffers, cushions off, the amount of energy and liveliness you can bring to reinventing yourself or rebooting your life just increases. Does that make sense to you?
It makes perfect sense to me because when you say that, I don't want to call it magic or mystery, but it can have a very mysterious quality about how the circumstances in your life can be the same, but you could be having a totally different experience of the creative process and your part in it. And that can, while it's mechanical on one level and how it works is completely mysterious, that's the part that and the part where you engage, but it's not in the old way of engaging that's putting the nose to the grindstone and back to your point of suffering
Yeah.
or striving or
Yeah.
pushing.
Yeah. And I should clear something up for folks lest they misunderstand. I suffer all the time.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally go there. It's just that I truly can laugh about it because just like what Cherie was saying about consequences being made up, the suffering is made up, and it's made up innocently. I mean, who would do that to themselves if they could see an option, right?
Totally.
But it's just nice to know when you go there, it won't last, that it is made up, and that then you can get back to the creative work. And I love what you said about nose to the grindstone. It's like, it just doesn't sound like much fun.
No, but I should have calluses as long as I used to push life with my nose, you know? I
Right.
used to, yeah, head
But
first.
in the last few weeks, it's not been uncommon for me to work 12-hour days.
Me
I
too.
would have sworn that 12-hour days were inherently stressful
And not a good thing.
and not a good thing. And I've been a coach for 22 years. I should know better than to work a 12-hour day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working 12 hours and going kind of like, look, Ma, no hands. I'm working 12-hour days.
Yeah, but isn't it odd that at the end of a 12-hour day, based on kind of inspired engagement, that I have more energy at the end of the day than when I started?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was possible. I thought once you
Right.
started to work, the faucet kind of got turned on and the draining process began,
Yes.
and how that kind of defies gravity in a way of how can you engage fully, go for it, and have more energy at the end of the day than when you started.
Well, it suggests to me, Cherie, that you're drawing on a different energy source than you used to draw on.
Totally.
Yeah. It's like we can run for a while off the rain barrel, but
That barrel goes dry sometimes.
it goes dry. But then there's the source that the rain came from.
Mm-hmm.
And really, as you and I have discovered, as we orient toward that source and discover for ourselves how real that source is, then we can have that experience of the barrel not going dry. Yeah. My attention got taken because I'm getting a message saying my phone's full, so maybe we're getting close to being finished.
All right. Well, I so wanted to hear from you, that why you felt the importance of rebooting at any time of the year, not just at this time of the year, but really to take a step back and allow yourself to feel more connected to your own engagement with life. And I just wanted to hear what you had to say about that.
Yeah. See, I really think that I think rebooting is important. I don't think it's necessarily something we have to do.
Correct.
It's something to recognize. It's like in the olden days, we used to have to push a refresh key on the screen to refresh the screen. And there's a way in coaching and in the human potential movement, we've gotten this myth that human beings have to stop and reboot and refresh. And what I'm excited about is helping people understand that that's a built-in process. It's one we can override if we're not tuned to it. But rebooting is not an effortful process. And the reason I wanted to do this retreat with you at the end of the year, Cherie, isn't because I think the end of the year is the right time to reboot, but because so many people are being told that it is. I wanted to offer a more spacious, empowered, enlightened, if you will, way to connect with every human being's capacity to reboot moment by moment, day by day, and take the pressure off of rebooting and reinventing and say, you got this, guys. You really do.
Totally. And that you can live from that feeling way beyond January 14th when the buzz is gone from that
Yes, exactly.
initial spurt, that like even in yoga this morning I was going, now the room in this class is perfect. Come January 1, that's going to be too crowded and I'm not going to want to go to yoga because it's going to be too tight. So do I take a month off until the buzz kills and I can go back and have a space?
That's right. It's like the gym. I used to take a month off at the gym. It's like, I'll work out at home.
Yes, exactly. So to that point about the opportunity to live as charged or motivated, or knowing that inspiration is a breath away at any moment, not needing motivation. Yeah.
So, well, so for folks watching live or the recording, Cherie and I are doing a Reboot Your Life Creative Immersion Retreat. at the end of the year. Feel free to drop either of us a note. There is a link in the comments on this post to the retreat, and ask us any questions you got.
Wonderful. Please do. And if we'll do it, if we don't do, if you can't make it this year due to travel, we're going to do it again later in the year. So
yes, we're going to offer at least one and probably several variations on this theme, because I want to, and I'm going to rope her in.
Yes, and I want to. So good. We're already in agreement. So
okay.
Wonderful. Thanks, Molly.
Great. Thank you, Cherie. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the year.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.